100 years of surf boats in surf life saving. Rowing boats in the 19th century was common practice all over the world. The gig, the dory, the longboat were all used for whaling, ferrying people and supplies to shore, piloting ships in treacherous ports. They were often used as a rescue craft with a strong culture of saving people in peril. In Australia, the Sly Brothers used a ship's lifeboat to save people at Manly Beach in 1895 and continued that service using a double ender. In 1906, Bronte member Walter Biddle designed and built a catamaran rescue craft, then built a more conventional double-ended boat for surf rescue. In 1908, Clavelli won the first rough water race held at Manly Beach. 7 boats raced to the single buoy with clashing oars and colourful language, turning a 180 degree and returning to shore. This became very popular and attracted a lot of attention and became a major part of surf carnivals from then on. In 1915, purpose-built craft dominated Sydney carnivals. Surf Life Saving Association stepped in to standardise the measurements, length and width of a craft. In 1920s and 30s, the double-ender clinker boat used overlapping planks of Kari timber, making it very heavy. During the Second World War, the ladies filled in the seats and rescued people using the boats and reels. It was a great time for women in surf life saving. The heavier timber and the planks were butted tight together and bogged up to make them watertight. Surf boats didn't change much in the 50s and 60s, sticking with the double-ended design. However, in the 70s, Swansea boat builder Boyd Humphries replaced the double-enders with a square tuck boat, which has basically kept that shape until now. Another big change in the 70s was the seats. Instead of a bench seat using the upper body, they used a flat seat and slid using their legs to get more length out of the rowing oar. It caused a few problems with splinters, so they used football shorts and greased them up to slide up and down the seats. Every club in the metropolitan areas required a surf boat on the beach and a reel for rescues. In 1970 saw the evolution of fiberglass surf boats. They were lighter, more buoyant, and in the 90s, the ladies started competing and they made an instant impact. Flat water rowing has been a massive influence with oars, Rolex techniques and training. However, a crew with great surf skills are always the most respected crews on the beach. Well, Bonny Hills had their first boat in the 60s and has had a boat ever since.
And you're listening to The Holy Grail with Gilly, Manfred and Mono.
Here we are, presentation 2020. And here we got Manfred, looking young as ever, and the Gilly. I think he's been on a bit of a training program. Wayne and Manny, when did you get into surf boat rowing, and what attracted you to surf boat rowing?
Oh, geez, Mono. Back in the 60s, I suppose. Started there with Camden Haven, and we had an old plank boat, which one of the local fishermen fiberglassed over because it was too light.
Was it a double ender?
Not quite a double ender. But before that, at Camden Haven, we used to use dried out cows.
I remember that.
Yeah.
As a kid.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And we'd get these cow carcasses and we'd lash them together.
So did you have a bit of trouble recruiting back in those days?
No, not at all.
Never.
And we did have a local lock-up in Kew, and we used to get a few rowers out of the local lock-up.
You send them out first?
Yeah, see how bad the sharks were.
That's right.
So then we went to corrugated iron tanks.
I remember those tanks.
And we'd cut the top off the tank, and we'd poke 4 holes through the sides, and a hole through one end, and we used to row out in the corrugated iron tank.
Yeah, but they never had the ambience of the cows, Gilly.
We didn't know where we were going. It was very hard to control because the boat was round.
It was. Much like you're sweeping these days, Wayne.
Very much the
Very
same.
much so.
But it was impossible to fall out like you do, Manfred.
Well, those double enders suit you down to the ground. You don't know which way you're coming home, and it doesn't matter. Looks the same. you know?
Yeah, no, it was all good. And then we got into modern stuff, you know. And, you know, modern rowers aren't like the old rowers,
Soft.
are they? They're
Soft, Gilly, soft.
Yeah,
I remember.
They're quite happy, man, to sit on these little machines and not get wet.
I remember back in the day, at Nobby's in the boat shed, one of the boys caught his toenail, Jughead, he's caught his toenail between the timber slats in the boat shed. Took the toenail 3/4 of the way off.
And what a...
He's jumping up and down saying, flaming hell, using only one syllable. Flaming hell, he's saying. I can't row. Sweep says, well, give me a look at your foot, I'll fix it. Gives that a bit of a look at the toenies. Rips the toenail off like that. Blood everywhere. He says, now you can row. Get in the boat. And he did.
And away he went.
He did. You wouldn't have that these days.
You wouldn't get it these
No,
days.
you wouldn't get that these days.
What about modern days? Modern days.
Modern day era.
We're at the Aussies. We're at the Aussies. And we had one of the local councillors rowing.
Oh,
Remember that? One of the local councillors.
local councillor.
And he was
He had
terrified.
aspirations.
He had aspirations.
Aspirations to be the Prime Minister.
And he had also serious injuries.
He's tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Serious injuries.
Tall.
He ended up, because he was worried about his car getting stolen,
Yeah.
he put his car keys on the string of his dickies
That's right.
and tucked them in.
That's right. And he put the keys to the province, to the Hastings. He had keys to every building.
He
had
did,
so many
he did,
keys.
he did,
You
he
remember the
did.
keys he had?
Yeah. And they all end up inside his scrotum.
He did.
They all ended up inside his scrotum.
Yeah.
When the boat rolled, he struggled to shore and he's come out holding his dick stickers.
Yes.
But inside his dick
And he was
stickers,
holding his scrotum.
inside his scrotum was his bunch of car keys.
That's right.
Hmm.
And look, if the batteries weren't flat, you wouldn't have even needed to get him out. He still could have got his car and driven home.
He could have done.
So-
He could have done. And what about another famous rower from a famous family from Warhope Bonny Hills? So much potential. So much potential. She joined Gilly's pig boiling rum gropers.
Oh, the
And,
red hot inflammables.
Yeah. Well, the pig groping rum boilers. What was their name?
They were the red hot, boiling, inflamed gropers.
Yeah. There was something like
Yeah,
that.
every crew's got to have a groper.
But anyway, this lady from a well-known family from Bonny Hills rode the house down, won a gold medal in a first event,
First ever major event.
and then retired.
100 crews.
And then retired.
I know. 100 crews.
Didn't come back.
Never came back.
Unbelievable.
That's it.
Unbelievable.
I mean, quit while you're on top.
Quit while you're ahead.
Quit while you're ahead.
Yeah.
Was she a bit of a trophy hunter, you think?
She was a trophy
Oh.
hunter, and she wanted to quit while she had a gold.
That's right.
And as she hung around, she would have got a state medal as well.
I'm sure she took it straight down the scoop paddling shed and said, look
Yeah.
what I've got.
Yeah.
You haven't got one of these. I do remember getting into the boat.
Backwards, sideways, or upside down.
Now we're going to delve into the Warhope Bonny Hills sweeps and rowers of the pre-60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, well, a little bit before me, but old Septic Gill had a bit of a name for himself. I can't remember ever seeing him sweep a boat, but he was there, I know.
He was always around.
And Wally Snedden, I mean, he was a very famous man, but I didn't get to see him sweep a boat either.
No.
But I did get to row under the great Chalky Bob.
Chalky Bob.
Chalky Bob, we had a pretty hot crew. Eric Waldron, Bow Repair Bob and Stitchy Parker, me, and Chalky was sweeping. And we were at Flynn's Beach Foot and Quarry, and I think we were neck and neck with the port crew on the way out, and they were pretty hot. And we got around to Cairn, I think, equal first. But as soon as we started heading back towards that bombie out off Flynn's Beach, Chalky jumped out.
Did he see a paddleboard or a ski, did he?
Well, I'm not sure, but he left us to our own device, but I think we ended up coming in. I think we won the race without him.
Did you beat him in?
I think we beat him in, yeah.
So that would have been tactics.
That was tactical. Yeah, he lightened the load. I think he did it on purpose.
That's like a sweep jumping off the quarter bar and kicking the boat forward to cross the
Yeah,
line.
well, that's a tactic.
Just did it a little bit early.
Yeah, of course.
Bit early.
I mean, we've had a range. We had the Rocket Hall,
Rod Rocket.
Hall, Rocket Rod Wall.
Sideways Rocket Hall.
Yeah. And then we got the great Manfred Sontag come into the club.
Can't remember him.
And
Don't know.
no, he's got nothing, but he'll improve with age. He'll get better. He'll get better, I'm sure. And we had Dicko, and Dicko brought a bit of quality up from the Central Coast. And we've got Mono is turning into one of the fabled sweeps on the mid-north coast.
He's not bad for a young bloke.
He's only young yet, but he's got a lot to learn.
He's got 100 years in front of him.
He's got 100 years, and he's done very well with limited experience so far.
And then we've had part-time sweeps.
We've had
The
part-time
great
sweep.
Greg Jemison. I can hit the
Gemmo.
Gold Coast's Greg Jemison.
Gemmo. Well, he was sweeping the day that the councillor got his
His testicular sack injured.
His car keys stuck in his ball sack, actually. Yeah, he was sweeping that day.
He was sweeping.
And he also took the tower out at Tacking Point and injured 2 of the officials.
And he was in Alley 1.
Yeah.
And it was a tower at Alley 6.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember that.
Exactly.
It was always good for a tower attack, wasn't it?
300 metres sideways to get this tower. It was very good sweeping.
And I
actually.
remember the day well, Gilly, because looking at Jammo hanging on to that sweep ball,
Yeah.
aiming at that tower,
Yeah.
was like watching a bloke ride a tractor.
It was perfection.
You never seen anyone with a bigger grin on their face.
And as he got close, remember the officials, they were diving off. They were actually diving off the tower into the water to get away before it cleaned this tower up. And I think one of the ladies got carted off in an ambulance with a, well, I think a leg was ripped off at the hip. They didn't know whether it was a shark attack or a boat attack.
No, they had to put her on the beach sprints after.
That was the pinnacle of his career, really.
It was. It was.
Councillor's ball sack and the judge's tower.
That's
They-
it.
They were 2 highlights. We've got Tony Key coming along now, and he will be a very good sweep because he's got a lot of experience as a rower. And he's young, he's tall, and he's strong, so he will go very well. Charlesy
Charlesy crew.
Charlesy
Charlie and his grog monsters.
Yeah, the Grog Monsters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember we had 2 boats in the club. We went down to one because one was damaged. He took on this almighty wave at, I think it was Scott's Head,
For Charlesy it was.
or it might have been Crescent Head.
For Charlesy.
It was like a bloody cheese grater by the time it got into the shore.
Had that many holes in it.
Had so many holes in it. And then there was Rexy Larkin.
Rexy Larkin.
Yeah, everyone had retired on the same year, and he had a couple of good crews under him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he done a good job, actually.
He did.
He did very well, Rex.
Yeah.
Sweet Rex, good bloke.
He knows rowing.
We poached Rex.
Where from?
No, poached him. Boiled him up slowly like anything. Boiled him up slowly, he didn't know what he was into.
Oh.
We had it.
A lot of our carnivals have been so good to remember, you know. I remember going to the Aussies and one of our sweeps kept on falling asleep. So we would leave him behind. And I can't remember who it was.
Oh, early days.
Early days, but he was left
Someone
at
done nothing.
he was left at Cool and go to
Probably still asleep.
Cool and go to hotel one night and it arrived home about 3 o'clock in the morning saying, "What happened to you, Bucks?" I said, "Well, we went home in bed for 5 hours and this bloke was still asleep."
That's right.
Funny things. Funny things happen.
You just can't trust anyone. Well, that sweet couldn't trust anyone. That's for sure.
Now, we're going to just touch on the history of surf boats, taking it back 100 years, and how they evolved.
As we progressed, and our lifeboats were boats that were sent out to rescue people in big seas. The saying of iron men in wooden boats became part of legend. As we bring those boats smaller and smaller, we end up to a 4-person boat with a sweep. In the 70s, when I started boat rowing, our surf boats had a reel and line up in the front, and that was to recognise the rescue capacity of a surf boat. There was no other rescue boat on the beach. If you, as a surf club, had boat rowers and boat crews competing, you had to have the surf boat on the beach as a rescue vehicle. So the surf boat is a serious recognition of the history of how we pluck people out of the water in big seas when swimmers can't get them.